Well, what I'd like to do is just briefly go down the line, and we'll start with you, Vince. Just, we've met Sue, we've met Jordan. Tell us a little about you briefly, very briefly. We've got so many topics to cover and so little time. So, brief background. You are with Serendipity Ventures. Tell us a little about what you invest in, check size, stage, and then we'll move on. Just turn around.
All right, first let's give a very good round of applause to We Shine, because I believe their mission, I would say the name itself has a definition called We Shine. Let's give an applause to Ellen here. So being a founder of a 7-second pitch, my pitch is going to be just under 7 seconds. So how many engineers in the room? Awesome. So an engineer turned into an entrepreneur, turned into investor. So I invest in something called a very simple formula. You might see a lot of theses. My thesis has 3 acronyms, and the acronyms are GPS, where G stands for grit, P stands for persistence, and S stands for scalability. And based on that, I have a very beautiful book called AI Products, which I'm going to give to one of you in audience, and the way to measure is your engagement. The person I find is fully engaged gets that book and one additional gift for the next second runner-up. So with that, my check sizes are between 5 to 25, and we only invest from pre-seed to seed, and we encourage them to get to IPO level at NASDAQ or S&P. And we believe that your commitment should be absolutely not less than 7 years. With that, I'll hand over to you.
Great, thanks. So Sue, we've got a lot of your background. Just in terms of your sweet spot, how many entrepreneurs are there in the room? Early stage, pre-funding. Okay, who's looking for seed? Who's looking for Series A? Okay, so we've got a bit of a mixed bag. What's your sweet spot, Sue, in terms of check size and stage? And is there anything that you're really kind of focused on now?
Correct, that's a good question. So we invest almost like, we're happy to be the first money, of course, because we have very much technical background, and then we look at the founder, your mission and your vision, like how do you define the product of the future, and then we have the technical background, so we can imagine like how you could get there and whether you're the right team. So basically we just look at the vision and the team. And so we invest in Chime Financial back in 2013, pre-product, pre-revenue, and so that's us. And but our check size went up to like 10 million. Yeah.
Do you like to lead? Do you follow? Do you sit?
Yeah. So basically, it's our own money. We have like 80 LPs, which is also our venture partners, and everybody chip in, and then we invest in people who used to work for them and professors in the old labs. So because it's our own money, so mostly tech money, so we do anything. So we can join the party run, a lot of the YC company, and without YC term, and during, that's why I think in 2014 we started getting into crypto. We were the first money into Definity, and ICP, we also the first money into pre-ICO in 2017 called OmniCgo, which became the first ICO unicorn. So this type of flexibility really gave us kind of like, we can do whatever we want.
Great. As with Mr. Wahlberg.
Yes.
Jordan does whatever he wants, whenever he wants. So tell us a little about you, Jordan, in terms of what you're looking for, what your check sizes are, and what you're looking for right now.
So we love Sue.
Yes, I love you too.
We love Sue and Alexa Sue because they lead the rounds and we come at the second part of the round. So when there's a leader, we're always fast to come in. We're fast, relatively efficient. We like pre-A and A. Pre-A about to have a good inflection and hit high evaluation is our preferred, most favored, but that's not always the case. a syndicate. We invest 2 or 3 times a month. We deploy $150,000 to $500,000 checks in cash. Mostly C corporations operating in the US and Western Europe, Canada too. I prefer enterprise solutions, as I talked for a while about. So for me, that's what I crave, this is what I thrive on. We'll do other things. Most important is hopefully 2 co-founders and people who got kahunas, people who know what they're doing and they're not afraid to, go at it and engage and be clear and determined to do what is right for the company, not just what is right for them and their egos. There isn't a better place to raise money in the entire galaxy.
If you can't, it's on you.
Listen to him, he's a good guy, he knows what he's doing.
Alrighty, Vince, Lawrence, tell us a little about your background. Sounds like you've got some interesting stuff going.
Yeah, thanks everyone. It's great to meet you. I'm Lawrence. I'm actually the VP of a newly formed fund called Serendipity. It's an SPV fund, so it's pretty new. But I do possess some venture partner titles with some early stage VCs in the Valley. So ideally, I can source it from very beginning to Series A. The check size would be like 50K up to 5 million. It's we definitely can follow on or can lead. So if anyone are interested, definitely talk to me. But I also have another hat as a builder. So I'm also excited at the AI early stage, no matter as an investment build or as a builder. I think it's so interesting journey. Yeah. Prior to become a venture capitalist, I'm actually working in the tech industry for more than a decade. So mainly on the product management side. So that's pretty much my background.
Great, thank you. So the topic tonight was funding mistakes. One of the mistakes that I often see with clients is funding strategy and the lack of a funding strategy. And as an angel investor as well, I get people saying, hey, we're looking to raise 500 or 800 or $1 million fives. Those seem to be the magic numbers. And what I find consistently is that startup entrepreneurs very often don't have a funding strategy. Why counsel them? And what we talked about in the second workshop is developing a notion as to what are value inflection points, real inflection points, and what it takes to get there. So from an investor standpoint, what do you think is an ideal funding strategy that entrepreneurs should be looking to build at the seed stage or even the pre-seed stage?
I think there's a metric which is a combination of value, inflection, and milestone, which basically means that the value I'm providing is X at the speed of Y, and I can convert 3 pilots into enterprise customers in 6 months. So that statement blows people's mind off because there's a very clear clarity of what you're after, what vertical you're after. Is it enterprise AI? You're targeting 6 to 7 pilots, conversion time 90 days, and it's into paid. So that becomes very clear value proposition to the investor and to the customer so basically you have to keep selling both parties. You have to sell your investor at the same time consistently you're selling your customer. For example, in my first startup, I never raised funds. What I did was I actually sold to a customer. And I made a customer as a partner. And the best part is because when you make your customers the best partners, you can do a rev share with them if it's a license deal, and then you can make residual money even after 15 years.
Yeah, I think that's a great point. But having a vision and having a model that supports the vision is sometimes a disconnect.
Yes.
Because founders sometimes, or very often, are great storytellers and can paint this incredible picture of what they're going to do. But when you look at the model in terms of the assumptions and the amount of money they're looking to raise just doesn't marry up with where they think they're going to get to. How about for you, Sue? What's your advice in terms of building a good funding strategy that will appeal to investors?
Yeah, I think that's a great question, and then a lot of people got it wrong because a lot of people feel like, something called elevator pitch. You know, I can pitch a VC, get like $5 million in just like 3 minutes. That's wrong. Totally wrong. So that's not real. So basically, what happened is, for seed, as I just mentioned, we invest in people we know very well, and even though we don't know you, but we probably can actually have a second degree connection with you because we invest in the team. Team comes first. And you know, I talk about vision. How do you define the product of the future? But it's not like we want you to actually just realize that idea. It's fine. Like if you pivot to something else, totally fine with me. Because the A-level team can make tier 3 ideas to be thriving ideas. So because when you get the money, you go to talk to your customers and you pivot every single day. Like my 3-year-old, right? 3.5-year-old. So
she's right there, man.
yeah, she's right there. So basically, you know, my idea is for her to actually talk to at least the one, you know, really, really good, influential people every single day. So why do I love my job so much? Because I feel like this is my early retirement. Why? It's not like I really retired, it's because I feel like I don't need to actually get another job in the future. This is my ultimate career. Because if you are Nobel laureates, I give you 30 minutes and you can tell me your life story and then your most successful secret. And so that's why for me, I feel like if you're a startup, you raise money from VC and then you wanted to keep learning. Don't worry about, you know, pivoting ideas. But the funding strategy is really just getting to know people. So because of Emma, I learned about the psychology, right? So basically, as you and me, so AI has progressed like so much, but you and me, we're biologically, we hasn't progressed. We don't have 2 brains, right? We still have this brain like 1,000 years ago. So how do people learn? People to people. We learn from people. Yeah.
All right, well, yeah, and just one mistake that I see, and I don't know whether you see this too, is people not having a good idea as what is a true inflection point. You know, I have a client say, we're raising $1 million to build the product. And, you know, often I say, if you build the product and you go out there and you don't have any validation or product market fit, that's not an inflection point, just building something, because you haven't proven that the dogs will eat the dog food at any level.
Can I add the value in this?
Yeah.
Okay, so everybody says I'm raising 3 million and they stop. There's a big pause on that. I'm raising $500,000 Series A. Okay, then that's about it. Like you can say that I'm raising 3 million in a prediction of 500, 300 ARR, and I'll have 10 pilot customers in 6 months. And the money I'm going to spend is enterprise sales. Okay, that makes sense. That you got to be so mathematically true, because right now the speed of thought with the early stage GPs, they quickly calculate the numbers. So I think you have to quickly validate what you're speaking on. You know, clearly one sentence. Your goal is not to sell. Your goal is to sell for life. When you are entering a VC relationship, you are entering for a number of years. You have to think as a long-term partner. You can't do spray and pray. If you keep doing spray and pray, you're raising 3 million and then stop. Okay,
yeah, I think that's one of the biggest mistakes. There's mass email to 500 VCs, and you can tell that it's spray and pray from the email. But let me ask you, Jordan, what do you think first-time founders consistently underestimate about the fundraising process and raising the first round? What's some of the things that you see consistently?
They underestimate the intelligence of the investors.
In what way?
As Sue mentioned, you think you can pitch, you get through. As investors, we see a lot of deals and we've seen a lot of tricks, and most of us lost a lot of money learning from our mistakes. So we become more experienced into sizing and assessing, engaging, and thank you, Lord, for AI. The effort to assess any company is down to minutes, not hours, not days, literally minutes. And from that point, the ability for you to negotiate and engage an investor, impress them, bullshit them, whatever, is diminished very, very quickly. So that's one. The second part, which is the saddest part, is they haven't learned their trade.
They what?
They have not learned their trade. They don't understand their industry, not to raise money, but to operate in the industry. They don't understand the first client, which is the customer. This customer is the investor. You need to understand how they operate. We're in the business of making money grow. And once you understand that, the conversation takes on a different form, different fashion. I don't want to go long.
How about you, Lawrence? What do you see as the biggest things that people underestimate as they embark on the fundraising journey?
Sure, yeah. So I think I can now emphasize more on investing people, like Sue's saying, but I want to add on, like the timing is also very important to align with your raising strategy. So sometimes you raise too fast, like your story is not crisp, or sometimes you raise too late, your runway is short, you're panic. You miss out with the bad term sheet. So I think it's all about like strategically the timing to align with your pace. For example, if you identify the truly kind of inflection point, you want to move forward that direction to apply for your product market fit, to close the big enterprise deals, or to conversion more customer to your product. So when you're strategically, you should be ready to execute with the trend. So that's kind of the common mistake founder can pay attention.
Very true.
You know, I think something you mentioned, Jordan, you know, there's so much money and people should absolutely be able to get funded here.
If they have the right solution.
Yeah. So when you think about 26 in Silicon Valley, it's a pretty crowded market, you know, in AI. Maybe there's a bubble, maybe there's not a bubble. You know, maybe last week in the stock market was just an anomaly. But what do you think, and this is open up to the panel, what do you think will actually help founders on the fundraising road stand out, you know, beyond just AI and traction? Is there something that you can, you know, give to the audience here to help them stand out?
2 words. I just have only 2 words. Domain expertise. You got to go T-shaped. So you can build your team, which is a team horizontal, but you got to be that vertical T to say, okay, I have this. Let's pick up a physical AI, right? Physical AI is big, but I know simulation models and robotics for warehouse. Okay, that's a depth. So that's where if you can build that, and again, your degrees don't matter, it's a domain expert. Like, either you don't have it, or you have it, or you have advisors who have it, but they got to have the domain expertise.
Is that founder market fit that you're looking for?
That is the only founder market fit in the AI space, because the intelligence is at $20 per month. So that's it. So that's the value of intelligence. There's a value of human intelligence, because the products which will be built in future will be human-centered AI and not AI. And that's the 2 keywords. That the human-centered AI is you, because you understand other human. And how the AI product, today AI products are not failing because they're AI products. The products are failing because there's no trustworthiness in that AI and people don't know how to use them. So if you look, I encourage you to look at the Uber pitch deck, it is publicly available. Rider, driver, and a BlackBerry. Literally there was a BlackBerry in between. That's all it took them to make that happen. And obviously a sales pitch, which obviously Travis was never a founder, but he's known as a founder because he knows how to sell. And same thing, if you learn from Travis, you can learn from Scale AI founder. Now her daughter is 3 years old, but Scale AI, if you go back to the history, she was selling domain expertise of selling, just selling at age 5 to her parents of her colleagues. So when they were age 5 too, right? So she developed that skill and honed on the skill for 20 years. That's all people looked at it. She's been selling from age 5. This means she has an expertise, ABC closing, right? Why would not somebody invest in them? So when you go back, that's where you hold on to like what I'm good at. Like for example, I was very good in mathematics, but my entire family is doctors. There's no correlation, right? Because we have to become a doctor. Why? Why do we become a doctor? So sometimes small things can change life. Like how I become mathematician because my father took away the calculator. So think about it right now. If I take AI from your space, what will you do? Today at Stanford School of Medicine, they're thinking like our brain can go haywire in 5 years. We totally rely on AI. People nowadays say, ChatGPT said this, right? Before it was like my mom said, my grandmother said, right? So psychology has changed, like, ChatGPT said it. But the value of ChatGPT is $20. That's about it. So you have to develop that human-centered element, and that human-centered element only comes from empathetic mindset. So nobody can replace you. You are the one who's going to create jobs. When people look at, I need a job, no. You are the new job creator economy because you understand those products. You understand how I will use AI. And when you understand that how this guy will use AI, I can scale that AI. So you have to give the product mindset. And that's why I have this book for you. Whoever best engages, get the AI book product strategy.
So,
What do you think, Sue?
so is founder market fit? So you talked about the team, and so the team is obviously critical for you, and I guess that goes to execution risk. If you have a great team, is extreme founder market fit sort of a must-have, or are there other underrated skills that you think are really important and that are sort of gating items for you in an investment?
Yeah, I feel like so for us, it's always about data, right? So it's always about data. So to get the proprietary data, so to actually get there, you do want to have unfair advantages. And then how do you have unfair advantages? If you look at the LinkedIn these days, is very interesting because you see those doctors retweet about their sets. MIT, undergrads quitting MIT, started a company, and then doing like, pre-authorization of insurance agents, and then that's the next gen, and then you're seeing like data scientists and retweeted about their daughters, starting something in their territory. So we are building the product of the future. So why don't we work for our children? And then I want to work for Emma. If Emma has an idea, I want to work for her. And then she's over there.
She's only 3.
She's only
Is it
3.
even legal?
I can actually probably create a YouTube channel for her. I had an idea,
I like
maybe
that.
like baby and robots, something like that. So basically, when you wanted to start a company, you do want to have unfair advantages and start something that I'm not saying like just you said, right? So my whole family are professors. That's why I was a PhD and postdoc. But it doesn't mean that I wanted to be a professor, right? So I pivoted. So but I really like the American kind of like legacy. Like if you interview somebody like Guccinelli or who's Italian, and then you have you watched that movie documentary? And then the first thing she said is my father. So it's not like his father was some kind of like luxury brands creator. No, his father was this tailor who actually was very, very talented, who can actually, was in Italy, that small village, who can just touch your clothes and then can figure out how much threads. So the next gen is actually very interesting, and we love to invest in the next gen. Yeah.
All right, so we're getting low on time here. I really want to get into some pitching tips. Lawrence, what distinguishes a good pitch from a great pitch?
Ooh, positive tone, I like it.
Yes.
It's your turn.
Yours.
Yeah, so it's also a great question. I think from my understanding, because I'm more like a builder turned to VC, so I'm more hands-on on like the true value proposition. So if the founder is pitching me with the fancy storytelling, I may not that into it. But if he's doing some calm truth telling, I think I'm more upset. So which means the founder can highlight all the beautiful parts of the pitch, but he also understands what the adverse part I can need to come out with. For example, like maybe the founders like technical background, he's capable of building like AI products, but maybe go-to-market is something he can come up with, right? So, and also some startup idea may heavily rely on network, connections, relationship. Then if you want to invest some deals, you gotta know something you want to bet on. So that's why if a founder trying to speak the fact more than like assumption or future vision, I think that's more compelling to me. That's just my personal opinion.
All right, Jordan, from your perspective, you see a ton of pitches. What separates a good one from an outstanding?
I think the reading the audience and understanding the time, who the audience is, what the situation is what makes a great pitch better than a good pitch. Because they vary, they change. You know, everybody's seen a dozen different pitch styles. So the most important, understand what you're pitching and who's in the room and what you're pitching for. And once you get that out of the way, if you have the fundamentals, then you'll be good to go.
Just to that point, do you see founders over-optimizing, you know, in their pitch decks for certain things and, you know, to the detriment of their pitch because they're neglecting really important things? I mean, it's like, I'm sure you've seen it, Sue. You get a deck about, you know, some therapeutic for cancer, and there's like 3 slides on how big the market is for cancer. I mean, I think everybody knows, like, there's a big market for therapeutics in cancer. You don't have to spend 3 slides on it. But any other areas you see, you know, founders over-optimizing for?
It's cultural, it's age dependent, and it's intellectual. So certain countries, they love their products, and they don't talk about anything else but the product. And certain age groups are obsessed with certain ways of delivering and communicating that doesn't get through to a 60-year-old or a 50-year-old person. I can't tell you this is what you have to do. All I'm saying is curate and tailor your craft to the audience. You're gonna have to have different suits, different shoes, different looks and feels. If you do that, you're gonna have a lot more success understanding what you're trying to do. If they understand what you're trying to do, mission accomplished. They may not like you, but at least they understood. However, those stupid 1-minute pitches and even dumber 3-minute pitches don't work. It's a circus. You know, perform like a dog or a pony, impress them to get them to say, I want to talk to you someone. Other than that, beyond that, there's a billion YouTube videos that you can learn from and you can optimize for that. Her needs are different than my needs.
Mm-hmm. I agree, and then I wanted to say there are 2 types of fundraising. So one type is now or never. So basically, you try to raise like 300 million, like 300 million, you know, at the $1 billion valuation for your seed round. So you're selling your vision. You have the world's best team based on years of research. Healthcare, semiconductor, foundation models, energy. So you're the best team in the whole world. And then it's now or never. So you have to catch this opportunity and to actually, you know, raise money which can help you go through a couple hypes. Good time, bad time. You have to have the money for maybe 3 years. You don't need to worry about. So that's why you talk to those founders, and they don't. I mean, people work there. They're the best. They work 24/7, but they don't have a goal. So they don't try to monetize anything. So that's now or never. That kind of company. That was a now or never, right? So the other one is very interesting. I love the other kind, which is like we invest in so many of such kind of company. Like give you an example. They're profitable. They are SaaS. Now is service as software. So like Equity Zen. So we invested in them 2013. They raised a little bit money in seed round, and then they haven't been raising money for 10 years. Boom! Suddenly they were acquired by Morgan Stanley for almost $1 billion. So you can see the problem of this company, you know, because you could just say, oh, your market is too small. you're just the marketplace for secondary, and only ultra high net worth or family offices can be your customer. Too small, only 2 types are your customers. But what happened in 2022? Interest rate went up, and liquidity like frozen, IPO frozen. So, but a lot of people, just like you and me, we're not like family offices, but we wanted to invest in SpaceX, in OpenAI. What do? You also become customer of EquityZen. So, yeah, so you have to you have when you
Market
profitable.
shifted, right?
Yeah, so if you felt like, I don't want to raise money, it's fine. You're profitable, you don't raise money. But I think the market really rewards compounding.
So very quickly, I don't think there is something called good pitch or a bad pitch. Anything right now in last 10 years is called a value pitch.
I object. There is bad pitches.
You gotta be lucky like Vince, you don't get
So value, maybe I'm the founder of 7 Second Pitch, so people optimize their pitches anyway. But the question is value pitch. So your number one goal, if you're early stage, your goal is to get a meeting, not the pitch. Pitch means FOMO. Learn from Sam Altman. He goes to Khosla Ventures, write $50 million check. Can you say that? Write me a check. Start the product. That's how people talk. Musk goes to Mark Carpenter at UC Berkeley and says, step down, I know how to run a company better than you. Right? So the question is not about that you got to copy that. The question is the confidence. The self-confidence is not a pitch. It is about your body, about how you portray things. And you got to put that FOMO in me by saying, I need to follow him, not he needs to follow me. You got to put that FOMO effect in a VC. Like, the next thing is, you got to book a 30-minute meeting. Again, it depends on stages. If you're early stage, I don't go past Series A, so I don't know how Series C people pitch. Because I go up to early stage up to Series A. So I think their number one goal is to get the time on the calendar ASAP. That's it.
There's a lot of bad pitches. Don't listen to them. Tons of bad pitches on there.
Yeah, I've seen a number of them as well, Jordan. I know we're out of time. Sue, can I have a few more minutes?
Famous last words.
Ellen, a few more minutes? Oh, okay, excellent. So one of the things I think that is so crucial, and when you talk about optimizing pitch decks, I think optimizing time for a founder is so crucial. And I find that very often they don't optimize for the right investor. They go to the investors that aren't writing their size checks, they go to the investors that aren't investing in their space. They spend so much time. And one of the things that I always try and counsel them is before they even go out to an investor, and then during sort of the courtship, I agree with you. It's a courtship, right? And they've got to get to know you, you've got to get to know them. There really has to be a real alignment between the investor and the founder. Again, this is not a divorce that you can do. So what does, I'll open this up to the panel, what does investor alignment look like in practice, and what are some of the early signs that there's misalignment?
Before AI, it was hard, it was difficult, but right now, I don't care. Stuff comes in, it goes through the engine, if it fits, if it doesn't fit, you spit out like a cockroach and stuff. So if you're sending hundreds or thousands or dozens of emails, you must go through the analysis for my good friend Vincent, $20 a month, and figure out, is this person the right one for you? It takes 20 seconds, and then you can drive from there. If you do that, the chance of getting through is going to be better. However, stage, check size, appetite, do they have money, do they not have money?
What are some of the things that founders should really ensure that there's alignment on, with that investor? I mean, I always say to my founders, like, does that investor have true conviction?
Financial management and risk mitigation. If you come with me these two things, other than the pitch, it works out very well. It tells me.
Raj is going to tell you, don't take money from a wrong investor. Don't listen to him. If you get a check, take it and run.
Okay, I would respectfully, it's funny, everyone says to me, with respect, I know it means with utmost disrespect, but, with respect, I've seen, companies really get tanked by the wrong investor. And, no one
And vice versa.
Yeah, no,
I've seen
absolutely.
investors get tanked by the
Absolutely, but I think founders are so enthralled to actually get a term sheet that doing diligence on the investor, doing diligence by calling their portfolio companies, doing any kind of diligence is way down on their list, right? Notwithstanding the fact that the VCs are doing background checks and doing all kinds of diligence on the founders in the company. And so, you know, when you have that mindset, honestly, I believe that not taking a check, sometimes making the wrong decision, and I've experienced this with founders, not taking a check because it's the wrong investor for them, whether it's the stage or they don't have the conviction, has really paid off. So, you know, I think we agree to disagree. What is your thought, Sue?
Yes, resilience. You know, the number one reason company fail is founder quits. Number one, if you say running out of money, I've seen tons of companies, especially our unicorn company, they're running out of money. And then what happened? They put their house refinance and then put that money in. And then we feel, oh my gosh, because they knew I just have to do a little bit more. And then because they were talking to the customer, their customer loved them, and it's the educated bet, and we double down. That's how we actually make money. So founder quits is the number one reason why company fails. So that's why we wanted to look at this company's career, look at this founder's career, and we wanted to make sure you never quit.
Are there any sort of common, you know, reasons for founders quitting? I mean, I'm sure it's got nothing to do with, you know, wrong investor founder.
48% of co-founders quit because of co-founder fighting.
Okay. Post funding?
Toxic environments, yes. There's a very emotional thing which goes on over there. They think it's all fancy. That just never occurs. Yeah. I think more than founder fit, more than you're talking about the investor alignment, I think you've got to align yourself towards your vision and your team, and your most important is a co-founder. Khosla's venture fund, 42% portfolio is down because co-founder fights. Not an IP fight, they fight on paper money.
I think this founder, I mean, right now in Silicon Valley, conviction is a good word. You have to be religious to what you're doing, and you have to be super smart, and you have to have the right training. So important, yeah.
So, go ahead, Lawrence.
Yeah, and also the tolerance of the risk level. So the two founders, if they have different risk level, they are easy to break and divorce. So that's caused the company to fail. So a lot of YC examples coming to like finally close, like the founders just spurs.
Just last question, just we'll go down the road here. Sort of aligning with alignment. What are some of the top questions that a founder should ask a VC before signing a term sheet?
Let Lawrence go first. He has an answer.
Sure.
I think other than the fund money they put in, I think they should have a similar or aligned vision, like how they kind of see the company in the future. And also the other side of the resources, for example, like it's just able to provide the network resource for the next round and also introduce the decent customers, suppliers. I think all those into a complexity factors.
Is that really a real thing? That every portfolio company from that VC is going to get introduced to every large enterprise connection that they have. Is that real?
Sort of, because for VCs, portfolio also has priorities. So the top priorities ones always get more attention.
All right, Jordan, how about you? What should these founders be asking VCs before they take their check?
Do you have the money? Yes.
Okay, well, we're assuming that the fund is funded.
Roger doesn't have the other side, which is people who don't take money, they don't fail because they don't get to a point to fail in your eyes. All kidding aside, the Sues of the world, the ones we love, are the ones we want to be aligned with.
Yeah.
The Jordans of the world, we don't sit on boards, we don't influence, we don't drive, we don't observe, we just help you when we can. don't focus on the alignment too much, because I'm in no position to influence you and in no position for me to drive your success. So just cut that pie into two pieces. The other piece is, Roger, forgive me, there's nothing wrong with just cash. So the alignment that they have cash and you can take it and run, go with it. Make sure you have top 2 or 3 key lead investors aligned to your value system. And last is, the investor is not your friend. Don't think you guys are gonna fall in love and grow happily ever after. The relationship between the investor and you is contentious at best. I'll leave it at
I don't know. It's good to have a contrarian view. How about you, Sue? What are some of the things that folks should ask you before they take your check?
Yeah, I think that's a very good question, rarely asked, but you definitely should know. I'm sure that you do due diligence on everybody that you pitch to, right? So I think number 1, you want to know who they are, and number 2, you want to know who they make their money. So that's very important. And you probably already done your research, and then, so there are 2 types of investors. One is for your marketing purpose. So, oh, I got this big name and who funded what, right? So I agree, you should have those type of angel, especially in the early rounds. But you also wanted to actually find investor who can actually make those type of introductions, like who can actually work for you. So when you ask about that communication question, and then the communication, it should be 2-way communication. You should actually provide a lot of data and to actually incentivize your investor. Because if we wanted to be in your next round to do the follow-on investment, and then I make sure I work for you, I do anything for you. So that's important, yeah.
Okay, Vince, what's the question these folks should ask Sue?
So 90% of the founders are never going to be CEOs. So you got to ask a question like, what investor grit has it? The way we ask you the grit, you got to ask the same question back. And I think that grit matching will take you far, far long. That's it.
I want to add something.
Yeah.
Roger spoke about CFIUS. A couple of years ago, it was not an afterthought, but it was important to check that box and move forward. But CFIUS has evolved a lot in the last 6 to 12 months. I had to write a check for $250,000 to a founder, to an investor in a company I worked with, because we couldn't get business with the government because that investor was on the cap table, and we wrote a check back. So the CFIUS business is super, super important, especially with the advent of AI.
Yeah, well, I mean, for most people in the audience, they probably do have critical technologies. And so what makes it so important?
To the surface a lot more.
Yeah, so what makes it so important is to ensure that the investor doesn't have a board seat, doesn't have observer rights, doesn't have any rights that could give them access to that critical technology. We're not saying not to take money from foreigners, we're just saying you have to be aware of the risks. And if you don't want to do a CFIUS filing, you have to wall off that investor so that you don't trip your next round of funding. All right. Well, thank you so much for the panel. Really appreciate it.
I will give this book, so I have to ask questions.
Awesome, and then actually, we wanted to open for the audience questions, so if you wanted to ask questions, you can line up in the middle.
Ellen should give a book. Yeah,
Yeah, should I? This is wonderful.
You will get books. They need the books.
Successful product creation.
AI product creation.
AI product creation. So nice to have paper. Yeah.
Did you get it?
Let's see.
I can.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
If
for
you
the
have the software
founders
really
who
nice.
want to ask questions, you are welcome to line up here, and then so we'll just, give you 20 seconds to introduce yourself. Good to make a good impression, right? Take advantage of that. And then, ask your questions as needed. And definitely, if you wanted to just do a self-intro 20 seconds, and then so that more people will get to know you. and utilize this social timer right after this, and so you can make more friends. All right? Okay, so yeah, you are my friends too.
Wow.
No idea.
Have them come over to you.
Yeah, maybe
Jordan's
somewhere.
screwed.
Yeah.
I think it's working there, interactive.
It's okay,
Yeah,
you can repeat
that
your
was
question.
far.
Try it again.
Yeah.
Yes,
I can
maybe
do
you
that.
wanted to step up here
Yeah,
and
yeah.
ask questions. All right, here you go.
Closer to.
You were talking about robotics, and I want to understand your point of view on that. It sounds like you're talking about your solution and what is in store. So I want to understand your point of view on Oh, so you guys are my question?
So the question is, in my slides, is robotics a core solution or is it something else? Hey guys in the back, can we just
Yeah.
give respect to the people in the front so they can hear the questions? The answer is no, they're not one solutions. They're platform, not solutions. I'm not referring to a robot that does this and that. It integrates fully with the entire process flow from product design to manufacturability to inventory to a robot that is detecting the chocolate in the conveyor does more than that. It can read inventory, it can do all sorts of things that you may not be able to do with the basic computer. I'm going to keep my answer short. So the answer is no, they're not. They are an actual platform.
Okay, here we go.
Hello, my name is Matt. I'm a PhD candidate in molecular cell biology at Berkeley. Thank you so much for doing the panel and for answering questions. You guys were asking questions regarding, or you guys were talking about when founders are talking to VCs, they should look for money, look for funding, find alignment. And so at what point do founders ask for advice for connections within their network versus when they ask for money and funding? Is it always funding then connections, or could you interact with founders, and can founders interact with VCs and ask for connections first, then money?
Yeah, thanks for the question. I think, I think my short answer is we can interact with VCs anytime, no matter if we're not ready to raise or if we're ready, even if we're really focused on, we can always go to check with them and also be friends with the investor. That's also the investor wants to kind of spend time with founders. We want to kind of have a long run with the founder, not only say, hey, when you are going to raise money, talk to us, but for the other time, don't bother me, we're not like that. So we try to get closer with founders and not all kind of possible.
This is same in Silicon Valley. You go for funding, you get advice.
Yeah.
You ask advice.
Okay, thank you so much.
Hi, I'm Avinash. I'm CEO founder of Zeus. I'm senior founder from Dubai. So my question is, product or team? And a pre-seed, what does VC look at? Because I've got a lot of different opinions. When it comes to team, obviously analysts going to listen. They don't know who I'm hiring for that money. Maybe as they might do a research, but obviously it takes time. They get thousands of fish tanks. They don't even look at what.
No, we do. No, we do. We look at the teams. Oh,
Yeah. No, I just want to understand, there is a product or it's a team that goes into a major thing, because especially when you do an enterprise product, you can't do it in a 2-month period, right? It takes at least 6 months to get it proper mature enough. We can show some traction, but how far VCs look at the traction?
So definitely, both, right? But in the very beginning, if you are you from Dubai, right?
Right.
Yeah, I
he's from
Dubai.
India, but he lives in.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
I'm thinking of my
Nice.
15 years.
Yeah, I love Dubai. Well, there are two things. One question I would ask is anybody from Dubai invested in you? So that's the first question. And second question is, if you are doing enterprise sales, why US market? Why wouldn't you do it in Dubai? So that's, my immediate question for you. So you have to answer those two questions. Like, for example, you say, oh, there's like a couple customers in Dubai investing in me. They love my product. And number two is that I'm already number one in Dubai. I want to come here. So that will be, I'll invest here.
Yeah, so it always starts with the product. And the reason is because how you position your vision, because you are the founder, and then you are also responsible to raise funds, also responsible to have a team. But who is a creator? Because we are entering into more of creator AI products than just a product. So unless a product is a vague word, until you have, is it an AI product?
That's an AI product.
Yeah, so you got to say that I'm the creator and I have a builder as a team. It changes the game.
But is the question like, what comes first?
Yeah, what comes first?
Because, I've got, founders that have got great teams, they've got no money, and they've got no product.
A lot of podcasts that, especially when VC speak, they say, like pre-seed, there is nothing for us to grow because it's a pre-seed or a pre-revenue. I mean, we are not pre-revenue, we have a revenue.
But, just from
they say, I don't know anything, so we bet on the team, so
It's both. There's no way you can have product without a team level. It has to be both. And there's more actually. It's not just this and that. There's a bunch of other things that go with it. The AI has changed things. It's no longer, let's take a long time. The product can be ready in weeks. So, yes, I know enterprise and you guys are in Dubai, you have chi and you take a long time to do anything, but here in the good old US, I go fast. And I lived in Dubai for a while. Back to your question, it's both, there's no one before.
And the reason I say is product because right now a solo founder can have 7 machines who are their team. So this equation has changed.
When you think about the biggest risk for any startup, it's not because it's a bad idea, it's just a lack of execution. If you can convince the investor that you will execute, so there's an investor that I work with in Silicon Valley, they take 6 weeks to fund the company. And what they do within that 6 weeks is they observe the company and what they're doing in that 6 weeks. And often that is a very good predictor for them in terms of how that team is going to execute long term. So I always tell my founders to switch hats, right? Stop thinking like a founder and start thinking like an investor. There's 50 decks on their table. Why is yours a more compelling investment than anyone else's, right? And if you've mitigated some of those risks, whether it's validation of your hypothesis or you have built this team, you've got such a great storytelling capability, you've got people to quit $500,000 a year jobs to come in and work for Swift. That says something about you. So,
We'll ask you a question.
All right, thank you so much. And then before we get to the next speaker, just wanted to let you know again, March 5th. So during access sessions, if you guys wanted to hear more about safest or you have international hires, and then this is a good session to attend. And also for week 9, March 11th, we're going to be here again. And make sure you follow us. If you don't know how to register for the next event, and then you can go to the check-in table and then take a screenshot on the flyer. All right, let's welcome the next question.
Hello everyone. Good evening. Such a great panel this is today. I really like the human centered and so my question was I was a co-founder. I sold my company to Angie in 2015. So now with I look at it, so let's say as an investor, and I have some idea that I go for the investors. And as an investor, what are the key things I will look at? Like, hey, this guy is more vision driven, or he has more execution, like he has done a lot of things very fast, or like to his point, more human centered cost, right? So hey, this is more UI and this is more AI, and this can also help to make the customers to adapt very fast. So what are the intuitions you look when you see as a co-founder, and you smell like, hey, this is the right company and organization, or this is the right company which can grow to more than $1
So I look for one thing, what are you banning? That's it. So 20 years ago, months ago, was banning social graph. Today you might be banning something else. And how much can you ban and how fast can you ban? That's all. You can tell me all stories day long, but I just think
That's more basic.
All right.
Okay, so
Sure.
I wanted to make sure that we only have 2 more questions, and so let's be quiet, and then we'll have some social time. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Gela. I'm the founder of Sierra AI. We're building AI agents for Salesforce administration, for administering Salesforce. So I had a question about, you mentioned that the majority of startups end up being acquired versus going IPO. So how do you look at that? And I guess this question is for everybody. How do you look at that from the beginning? Do you expect founders to shoot for the stars and then kind of settle for the M&A? Or is it okay to go for a short timeline and go for the M&A?
Thank you. Just a slight correction. Majority of the exits are M&A. Majority of the startups don't get started. Right? Yeah. So the ones who exit, we saw 95%. It's a function of the market right now. More companies are acquiring the AI type companies and so forth. So this is not, I don't know what's going to happen for the next 2 or 3 years, but this is more of a function of what's happening in the AI market and that. So that's one. I don't have an answer. If you want to shoot for the stars, best answer I heard is, do you have a car?
Yes.
Is it for sale?
The right price.
Aha. So maybe it's not 100 million, maybe it's not 200, maybe it's at some point, the investor's going to say, get the hell out, man. You got a $500 million offer. Is it going to get higher? Probably not. Just get out, move on. So it's about the price and the conditions. So, however, if you say I'm going to do an IPO, I'm going to be there for 8 years, I'm not the investor for you, so it's probably.
50-time return.
Interesting how I put a deck, like a pre-seed or a seed deck, and then saying which way you're going to exit. Like, does a startup really know at the pre-seed stage?
You have to reach there. So 50-time return, but that's only 3% of the exits. So
The IPO markets are close.
say again.
The IPO markets are close. So
So
that's
my
what
point is, yeah,
I'm
it's
saying.
50, 100 times of the probability of what. Anyhow, I hope you answered your question.
Yep, you did. Thank you.
I just tell my clients, build big, beautiful companies, and good stuff will happen.
I feel we have built AI system, AI engine for studio grade film. And we have almost reached 1 million ARR. Yeah, and about 40% of our users are American. But we have just opened our pre-phase series. But in China, all the investors said that we don't invest on tourists. Yeah, we are searching for the next TikTok. Yeah, but maybe we hear that in America, you invest on tourists on software. So what is the difference between China? They are creating for consumer app, but not the software for prices. Yeah.
So basically, in the US, right? So the question is, how come in China people don't invest in SaaS? Yeah. So I think the reason is pretty obvious because the early stage investor who is actually behind us, like after us, it was a growth stage investor. And then after growth stage investor was the crossover fund. Crossover fund, the hedge fund, right? IPO. So it all because the US stock market, they really reward PLG SaaS, like Zoom, right? So the highest PE was 100 times. Yeah. And then in the China market, basically the stock market rewards state-owned enterprise. So the A share in China, they will actually reward. It's a place for state-owned enterprise to raise money, not for either Alibaba, right? So even the platform company, they have to go Hong Kong or US to actually go IPO. So that's why in China, and then if you wanted to actually, so basically if you want to build a vacation like SaaS model, in the US you start your own company because boom, 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 you go IPO to be very high, right? But in China, if you wanted to build a ChatGPT type of a platform, you want to work for Alibaba. You want to work for them because all the platform they offer for free. And then how they make money? They make money to go after those state-owned enterprises. So that's how they monetize because in China there is very, very little number of SMB. But in the US, majority of the business are SMB. So that's why in the US, if you build a product for SMB, you are billionaire. But in China, if you build a product for SMB, you have no future. That is why.
Yes, thank you very much. That's interesting. Okay.
We're good enough here, huh? All right, Keith.
Thank you for the information you've given us tonight. My name is Eddie. I'm a co-founder of Sugon. We tokenize agricultural commodities. We start with tree nuts. And we have domain expertise. We have a strong technical team. But my question is, do investors want to hear more about those things, go-to-market strategies, or is it just cut and dry, how are you going to make us money in a pitch or just in a conversation? What's the most important thing to address other than, we have domain expertise, we have, a great strong team, we have a platform built, what's the most important thing, just the nuts and bolts of what do they want to hear?
I think it's more important more than what they want to hear is what they want to get in return. I think that's more important. You put your money in a bank to get a return.
Yes.
You put a money in the stock market to get a return. So that's a pretty obvious question.
Okay.
And the way you make that money is how to go to market. If you have a strong team, you have strong resilience, a strong product, and what else is remaining, right? It's called distribution. You've got to prove your distribution model. How am I going to distribute? Walmart distributes, Amazon distributes. That's all they do, right? So you've got to become that particular method and say, I'm the champion because I have all these three product team, vision, the grit, and I'm committed in my domain expertise for this. That's all. Sometimes you have to become the GTM market expert once you pass those three stages. So you're in a good spot.
Okay.
But think like an investor. When you always think, you always have to think like an investor. I always think like a founder, maybe because I was founder before. So I always think like what this guy needs to get fulfilled, to get to the mission, right? So you also have to see who is an investor and what kind of investor. Some people are investor who are actually founder turned investor. There's a different investor versus an investor versus investor. Right?
Yes.
So that's what you can be investor yourself. You can put 10 money in stock of Intel AMD, you're an investor next day.
Yes.
Right?
I understand.
Right? Now what we are taking is a huge risk versus you're taking a narrow risk. You're taking a risk on a public trading company, hoping to get some X return, right? I don't think. So that's once you don't say GTM, say, you know what, I have this distribution method, I can multiply. I can have a multiplication effect. Give that pitch, a multiplier effect. Without me asking you, should just fill my words. By saying this is a multiplier effect. You've got to know the investor what he's looking for. He's looking for money, but how will they get money? Why I have to drill you down? Then you can show me the path of the least resistance. Right? So that grit lies on you, how you going to show the path to make money. And I say, you know what, this is a guy I'm going to work with. Because I know he can make money, or he doesn't make money, but he will not fail me miserably. Thank you.
Lawrence, what do you think?
Yeah, so it depends on which stage. If you are A or grade, definitely you already have a lot of space. You have strong inner feet, and you have strong technology and product. So that's really nice. But if you're post A, you want to know how you get like 100 times, 30 times, right? So that's when you have to tell a story of how you get there.
Okay. I understand. Thank you.
And because of that, there's one more question?
Yeah, right there.
Okay, fine, that's.
Yeah.
If this is the last question, he's already a winner.
Yeah, we'll have the last question, and I do wanted to invite everyone and sit down here because we're gonna take a group photo. Yeah, please. And okay, welcome to the last question, please. Come over. If you guys wanted to help out.
Hi, everyone. My name is Timani. I'm a founder of the Teacher Guideline. And my question to you guys is, when you get founded for the first time, how long does it typically take for you to have the conviction to want to invest in them?
Repeat the last sentence.
How long does it typically take for you to have enough conviction to want to invest in them?
It's like all over the place. I just did a deal with Coastal Air, it's about high profile investors, $40 million, 2 weeks, 2 safes. So it can be really quick, and then it could be 6 months getting to know you.
What's rational?
But yeah, I mean, I counsel clients, I say you should bank on anywhere from 2 to 6 months. Right? Getting through diligence, then getting to know you. It's not if you're looking at a serious raise. I mean, if you're looking at $250,000, it's not going to take that. But if you're looking at $5 to $10 million, it's going to take time. And you need to figure that in terms of your burn and your runway. Don't wait until you're almost cash out to start raising, your Series A. That's a really bad idea. Start raising when you don't need it.
I agree, like for YC demo day, we invest, when we invest in Rapid, when they started to pitch and we already decided to invest in them, we just text them, oh, we wanted to do a handshake deal. And then we talked to them, they were saying, oh, we don't need money now. And then we were saying, because our partner, we were together, and then Dr. Chu, he has been already using Rapid, teaching his kid how to code. So that kind of knowledge, so that's why investor, we're doing this like every day, so we know companies. So we can make, it's an educated bet. It's not just random seeds, right?
A lot of processing going on.
How to process, we're like superhuman. And then, but, trying financials, we invested in 2013. And then Sequoia didn't invest in them, right? So they waited, but they talked to them every single round until like almost like 6 years ago, 6 years later, and then they decided to invest in them. And so it really, this is about negotiation, it's arts.
But wait, let's ask you a question. How much money were you going to invest in Ripley?
Rapid?
Yeah.
Back then it was it's around 500,000. So this is.
And how big is your company?
Yeah.
There's the answer. Yeah.
Back then it was about 50 million.
So 500 wasn't a big.
Yeah, it's not.
It's not something you can go speak.
Yeah. So our strategy is to trenches. Like we invest in you, see the pre-money, pre-product, pre-revenue, and then we track your data, and then we do follow up. Yeah.
So I have a concrete example for you. So at every stage, and you have 45 seconds, and if you're in a Salesforce tower, you can make 250K in less than 59 seconds. You go an elevator, pitch in 45 seconds, answer one question, you got 250K. So that's the conviction speed I've seen in web. But it depends, again, if it's CDC, it's different. But I'm hoping you're at this stage.
I wouldn't say that's typical, but
It's not typical, but again, it's happening. That's important to know. It has happened. If there are no questions, I have a winner. I have to give the book to this gentleman.
He needs to answer the question.
Yeah, so one thing is the conviction also correlates with the fund or money the investment equity. So if a small amount and you have a great impression, just like what's the mission, 20 minutes after writing that and just write like 50K check that you want to do better. Even with the good impressions with your business and the whole that's how we think about this.
I'll just say one last thing. Fundraising is so freaking difficult. It really is. And I know that everybody thinks that Silicon Valley's sidewalks are lined with VC money, but it's hard. I mean, it really is hard. It's such a competitive environment. You have to stand out.
Yeah. So my thesis of giving the book was the QQPP. Q means quality, other Q is question, Other thing is P, another is product and prototype. So I developed this framework in 2017 at Stanford. The quality of the question leads to prototype with product. So I think in all the questions asked, I think Eddie stands out. So let's give a round of applause to Eddie for best question.